Welcome back to the Deep Dive.
Good to be here.
So today we've got a really practical mission, actually. We want to cut through all the noise and help you figure out if inbound marketing is genuinely the right strategic fit for your business right now.
Exactly. Less abstract talk, more of a diagnostic. We're using a framework based on some tools we sourced to give you that shortcut.
Right, instead of you having to wade through tons of articles on content strategy.
Yeah, we're just going to walk through these key indicators, the ones that basically scream, yes, your business needs inbound, or maybe, nah, stick with your ads for now.
And let's quickly define inbound based on the source material.
Sure. It's defined as this systematic process, using really valuable content to pull in the right customer groups. Turning strangers into visitors, visitors into leads, and eventually into loyal customers.
And the whole thing hinges on one big if, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. The customer has to be actively looking for a solution if they're not searching.
Then inbound just doesn't connect. So this whole deep dive is about seeing if your customers and your product actually fit that search-driven model.
And we've boiled down the source's 10 points into like 3 main phases.
Yeah.
Just for context, we'll talk about choices that point towards inbound, let's call them high suitability, and ones that suggest sticking to other methods, low suitability.
Okay, and the rule of them.
If you end up ticking more than 6 of those high suitability boxes by the end, the recommendation is strongly towards inbound.
Got it. So let's kick off with phase 1, looking hard at the customer profile. This is fundamental, right? Is your audience even playing in the inbound sandbox?
Exactly. First up, digital presence. Simple question, really. Are your customers basically living online, consuming media, interacting there all the time?
Or are they still mostly offline, relying on traditional channels?
Because if they're not really online, your amazing inbound content doesn't have anywhere to go, does it? It's a non-starter. High digital use is, well, essential.
Okay, assuming they are online, the next point is maybe the most crucial, their behavior before they buy.
What do they actually do? Are they the type to really dig in, do heavy research, compare different options, read reviews, look for specs?
Yeah, trying to find more detailed information before they commit. Or is it more impulsive?
That deep comparison-driven research, that's the lifeblood of inbound.
Yeah.
If your customers buy on a whim, or the product's so simple they don't need to check anything,
then inbound is probably overkill.
Totally. But if they treat buying like a research project, that's a big check mark for high suitability.
And that research habit often links to how they prefer to contact you, right?
It does.
Yeah.
So the next question is, where do they primarily reach out? Is it through those instant digital channels like Facebook Messenger, maybe Line, or similar chat apps?
Compared to, say, sticking to email or just picking up the phone?
Yeah, and what's interesting about the chat preference, like using Messenger for a serious question, is the expectation it creates.
Ah, right. They want answers now.
Exactly. They expect quick access to info, maybe tailored responses, often content-driven. It signals, a higher digital comfort level and an appetite for the kind of info inbound provides.
Okay. And the last piece in this customer puzzle is about the core focus of the business itself.
Yeah, what's your fundamental motivation? Are you primarily focused on solving a very specific, often quite serious problem for people?
Or is it more about just stimulating general interest, maybe something more fleeting?
This is surprisingly revealing. If you're solving a complex problem, think finding the right lawyer, choosing the right insurance policy, that complexity forces research. People need education to feel safe.
They're mitigating risk.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Whereas stimulating general interest, that often fits more with impulse buys, entertainment. The need for a deep, long-term content strategy is just much lower. So if you're solving a real pain point.
High suitability for inbound. Okay, let's recap phase 1 quickly. If your customer is online a lot, researches heavily to solve a specific problem, and likes digital communication, you've got some strong signals pointing towards inbound.
You're building a good case for it already.
Right. So if those customer basics line up, we then need to look inwards. Phase 2, business structure and the value stakes. Because let's be honest, inbound takes effort. It needs resources.
Absolutely. It's a commitment. So it really only makes sense if the potential reward justifies that effort. We need to look at the financial side and how complex the actual transaction is.
Makes sense. Where do we start?
First indicator is the business model itself. Are you mainly B2B, business to business, selling things like, specialized services, heavy machinery, complex software?
Or are you mostly B2C, business to consumer, selling everyday stuff like food, drinks, clothes?
B2B is almost always a strong fit for inbound. It's just rare to find a B2B purchase that's cheap or made on impulse.
Yeah, usually involves multiple people signing off, long processes, high stakes.
Exactly. Which means potential customers might be consuming your content for months, just getting educated enough to even start a serious conversation.
Which leads right into the money aspect, the value threshold.
Right. We need a line in the sand for what counts as high value. Our source material, which comes from Asia, uses 10,000 Thai baht as a benchmark.
Okay, what's that roughly for our listeners?
Think maybe 300, 500 US dollars, something that makes people stop and think. If your typical product or service costs more than that kind of threshold.
That's a major flag suggesting inbound is necessary.
It really is. High price usually equals high caution, which equals need for information.
Hold on, though. What if I sell, say, complex software? Maybe it's only $50 a month, so below that threshold. But it takes weeks to implement, lots of training. Isn't that still high stakes? Doesn't that need content?
That's a great point and a really important nuance. The price tag is a strong indicator. Yes, because cost forces caution.
But it's not the whole story.
Exactly. Complexity counts just as much, sometimes more. So if the total cost is high, or if the implementation cost, the time, the disruption, the training you mentioned is high, the customer perceives risk.
Got it. So high risk is the real trigger.
Precisely. Anytime the customer feels they're taking a significant risk, whether it's financial or operational, they need educational content to help them feel confident to mitigate that risk. So yes, low cost but high complexity situations definitely benefit from inbound nurturing too.
Okay, that clarifies it. Risk is the key.
And that risk often translates directly into how long the whole sales process takes, the sales cycle duration.
Right. How long does it typically take from that first contact, that first glimmer of interest, to actually closing the deal?
Is it quick, like under a month? Or does it stretch out, often taking more than a month, maybe several months?
And if it's that longer cycle, say over a month, that's prime inbound territory, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. That's where inbound really earns its keep.
Right.
Someone takes 3 months, 6 months, even a year to decide. You can't just hit them with random ads now and then and expect to stay top of mind.
You need something more consistent.
You need that content infrastructure, something that keeps dripping information, answering questions as they pop up, building trust, keeping your name right there throughout that whole long consideration phase. It's like an educational loyalty program.
Built on knowledge, not just discounts.
Exactly. So Summit Phase 2. If you're selling high-value, complex stuff, maybe B2B, with a sales cycle stretching over a month, the need for a solid content strategy becomes pretty undeniable.
Okay, makes total sense. Now, phase 3 takes a different angle. It's about looking at the marketing environment around you.
Right. Sometimes the reason you need inbound isn't just about your product or customer. It's because, well, your other marketing efforts just aren't cutting it anymore.
Or maybe your competitors are just way ahead. Inbound can become the escape route when the old ways stop working.
Yeah, this section is partly about marketing fatigue. First question. How effective is your traditional offline advertising? Things like billboards, TV ads, maybe trade show booths. Are they still bringing in good, measurable results?
Or are they feeling kind of ineffective?
If they're clearly not working like they used to, that points towards needing a different approach. Another tick for inbound suitability.
And the same logic applies to your online ads, right? Your Facebook campaigns, Google ads, all that paid stuff.
Exactly. Are they getting super expensive? Is the space just too crowded? Are you just not seeing the results you need? If yes, that's another sign you might need to shift focus.
Shifting from purely buying attention to earning it with content.
And think about the implication if your ads are failing, especially if you have that complex product we talked about in phase 2.
What does that tell you?
It kind of confirms the market needs more than a 15-second spot or a banner ad can deliver. Your customers can't solve their complex problem based on a quick ad. They need deeper information.
Okay, but wait. If my ads are failing, shouldn't I first try, better ad copy, tighter targeting, maybe to spend more money? Why jump straight to inbound, which we know takes time and effort?
That's fair. You absolutely should optimize your ads first. That's just good practice.
Right.
But inbound becomes necessary when even optimized ads can't bridge the gap because the market fundamentally needs education, not just exposure. And this ties into the next point. Where do you stand versus your competitors?
The competitive landscape.
Yeah. Are your competitors clearly the market leaders, measured by things like sales, social media buzz, search rankings, or are you the one leading the pack?
And if the competitors are the leaders,
then they can probably outspend you on every paid channel, right? They can afford to dominate the ad auctions.
Making it tough to compete head-on with ads.
Exactly. So inbound offers a different way to play. Instead of trying to outspend them, you aim to systematically out-educate them. You build authority and trust through content.
So if you're looking at dominant competitors, and maybe your ads aren't working so well, inbound lets you carve out a space based on expertise, bypassing those costly bidding wars.
Precisely. Choosing the competitors or market leaders, options strongly suggests you need a different strategy, and content is off of that strategy.
Okay, wow. We've covered a lot of ground there, the 10 points across customer behavior, the business stakes, the market environment. Let's bring it all together. The verdict time.
Right. As we said at the start, the scoring is pretty straightforward based on the source's model. If you found yourself nodding along and choosing those high suitability options, the ones about complexity, high value, long cycles, digital customers, failing ads more than 6 times.
Then the strong recommendation is you really need to consider adopting inbound marketing seriously.
And if you scored low, say less than 4A choices, then you could probably stick with your current strategies for now. Traditional methods, paid ads might still be sufficient.
So, boiling it all down, synthesizing those high suitability factors, inbound becomes almost non-negotiable when 4 things really come together, right? It creates this imperative for what you called high-stakes research.
Exactly. You've got transactions where the customer absolutely must research, study, compare options before they decide.
The purchase itself is high value, either in dollar terms or because it's complex and operationally risky.
The sales process takes time, often months, so you need that consistent nurturing.
And critically, the customers are actively looking for answers online if those 4 conditions meet.
Inbound is practically tailor-made for that scenario.
Now, this is where it gets really concrete. The sources actually list specific industries that almost always fit this high suitability profile. If your business is in one of these,
you're likely a prime candidate. The list leans heavily towards services where trust and long-term relationships are key.
Like what?
Think medical services, specialized legal help, insurance, fields where the decision can be life-changing or business-critical, and credibility is everything.
Makes sense. What else?
Then you have high-value assets, obvious ones like real estate, cars, but also construction, land development.
Right. Nobody impulse buys a factory site. The research involves reports, projections. It's a long game.
Exactly. And they need detailed comparisons, educational guides, maybe ROI calculators, all that stuff inbound provides.
Any other examples jump out?
Yeah. Also, complex specialized fields like higher education choices, customized travel planning, bespoke design services, specialized B2B software, technical programs.
Basically anything where the customer is making a really considered investment in something unique or complex.
Spot on. It's not a commodity purchase.
It's also worth pointing out, isn't it, that this framework comes from an agency, Our Greenfish, and their whole philosophy seems built around inbound.
Yeah, they see it not just as a marketing tactic, but as a core business strategy, a system for turning strangers into customers through education.
So their strong stance makes sense. They believe it's the fundamental way to handle market complexity and build trust.
It's positioned as the strategy for managing risk in those high-stakes situations, making your company, through its helpful content, feel like the safest, most informed choice in a complex market.
Okay, so let's try and wrap this deep dive up. The core takeaway seems clear. Inbound marketing isn't for everyone, but it's fundamentally suited for businesses dealing with, well, complexity.
High prices, complex products or services, long sales cycles.
And crucially, customers who are online, doing their homework, actively researching solutions.
It's the strategic move when you realize you need to earn that customer relationship over time, not just by a quick click.
So here's a final thought to leave everyone with, building on this assessment.
Okay.
We established that high-value buys often need that long study period, maybe over a month, sometimes much longer.
Right, the extended consideration phase.
So in a world where information, search results, tech, everything changes practically daily, the question isn't just if your customer is researching.
What's the provocative bit?
It's this. If their decision takes, say, 3 months, how much risk are you carrying every single day that you aren't providing the up-to-date, trustworthy, comprehensive content they clearly need to make that informed choice? Can you afford not to be that source of information?
That definitely puts a different spin on it. It's not just about attracting them, but about guiding them safely through that complex decision.
Something to think about as you plan your next steps. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
Catch you next time.